It's the late early morning show featuring Breakfast and Brendan with Brendan. 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 And your host, Brendan.
Good morning, MSM, and welcome to the late early morning show. If you think I look ridiculous, don't worry. I think I look ridiculous even more. So, today, as you can see, we have Kira. There's no claps. There's no one here. Sorry. Awkward silence. But for real, we are going to start this late early morning show off with the interview. And then later on, you're going to see that we're going to be in a different spot. And we're going to play a couple games that maybe you can play at home, but definitely ask your parents before. So we're going to get right into this. Kira, because you've watched every video I've made.
Of course.
In the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
What did we talk about?
Atypical.
What was the first week? I'm just kidding. She didn't watch all the videos. But we hope you guys do or did. All right, so we've been talking about atypical families. And so the first week, we talked about how atypical families are often used by God. Second week, atypical families pray for each other. Third, atypical families have tough conversations. And fourth, atypical families forgive each other. So that was a recap for Kira because she probably didn't even watch any of the videos.
No, I did. I watched 2 of them.
Which ones?
Tough Conversations and the one before that, and part of the first one. I watched part of all of them. I scrolled through them all.
Oh, scroll. Gotcha. You get that view.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and the like.
Gotcha. Oh, you're the one of the likes? One of like the 2 likes?
Yeah, I hit
That's
that
funny.
subscribe button.
Okay. Did you subscribe?
Smash that like button.
Did you guys subscribe? If you haven't, go and do that now, and then smash that like button.
Smash it.
So, first question, Kira. Your not so typical family, because we all know, like Donald Norman Neiman Jr. is
the full title.
not typical.
Oh, he's
Pretty
something
crazy, but in a good way.
Yep.
How has God used your family being not typical?
Well, so we've moved around a lot, like a lot of different places. And so that's like created a pretty unique opportunity, I think, for our family, because we've had a lot of opportunities where like we're the only ones we actually have, and like we don't know anyone. We're in a new space, a new church, like all together.
So you talked about your family and being used by God. Now, atypical families, we talked about pray for each other, and we went even farther into like our church family. So how has your church family prayed for you guys as maybe you were like leaving a church, going to a new one, or leaving like a state, going to a new state kind of thing?
Yeah, when we left our first church, the one that I was like born, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Into, I guess.
Yeah.
They did like a whole thing where they brought us up like in front of the congregation and just did like lay your hands on the family like while we pray for them. And like I was only 8. Yeah, at the time.
8?
Yes, 8. 8. 8. And Josh was 6.
6.
So like we didn't really understand fully like what was happening. 6. Did I say 7?
No.
Did I hold up 7? 6.
Oh, my thumb did look like it was like out here. So keep going. 6.
6.
6.
Yeah, so we were little, so we didn't really understand. Like, I was kind of like, don't, like, what? Like, why are your hands on me kind of a thing. But then I like didn't really like appreciate it. It was cool. Like, I knew it was like cool because my parents were like crying. But so I was just kind of like, I don't know what's happening. But then like 5 years later, so we moved to Northern California. Then we were leaving that church, and they did the same thing essentially. And so at that point I was 13, and so I was like, oh wow, like this is really cool. And so it was almost like a deja vu moment, which was like kind of sad, obviously, because I was leaving a church again. But like I finally kind of understood like what that meant, and like it meant a lot more to have that congregation community to like actually like physically like reach out their hands and like show that they cared.
Yeah,
which
because
was
now
really
you're
cool.
older, you understood more of it, and
Mhm.
it just wasn't random people
Yeah,
laying
and
their
I
hands on you.
yeah, like I would participate in like that kind of thing for like mission teams, but like it was completely different like experiencing it myself to like I was like, "Oh, this is like really cool."
Cool. So the next one was having tough conversations. Like, have you had tough conversations with your family?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have they ever ended with like screaming,
Ah,
or maybe in the middle screaming,
there's
or
definitely
began
been
with screaming? Was there been screaming?
there's
at
probably been all all
I
three
feel like
options.
last week was one. I feel like you said that you maybe not screamed, but
I
you
probably
clapped back,
probably
as the
I
kids say.
yes, I can be aggressive. So, especially towards my family because I know they can handle it sometimes.
Only sometimes.
Only sometimes.
Make sure
it's
your
hit or
family
miss.
can handle it.
Yeah.
So after those tough conversations that you have, that we come to this kind of wrapping all of that up into, like you said, that they can take it because you guys forgive one another. So like how has that process for your guys' family been good, or maybe more so interesting in like forgiving each other? Does that, with your family, does that take a long period of time? Is it kind of just like the next day, or does it all depend on kind of what was said, maybe what happened?
I would say it blows over pretty fast. Like the dynamic has changed as Josh and I have gotten older because like obviously like when we were younger, like I would just like be aggressive but then like immediately get over it because I didn't know what I was talking about. And like I still don't really know what I'm talking about, but
That's
now I
true.
have like a little bit more knowledge. So like I think I am quicker now at like bringing things up like that are happening just like in the world and our family and like my friend group, like whatever, to like really talk about. And so like that's been cool, but at the same time like yeah, like now like as Josh and I have gotten older, like our families have differing opinions, and like both sides of our family have very different opinions on just like everything. So we've had to learn kind of like that conflict resolution piece of just like, okay, like we just have to say things. It's okay to be like aggressive, I guess, and like strong-willed about it, but like you just have to be kind in like what you're saying and how you receive it too. So yeah, like if things get heated, we're like, sorry, we just don't agree on this, and then like we'll move on.
Agree to disagree.
Yep.
Everything. Perfect. All right. Well, that wraps up my voice. That wraps up our series on Atypical, but we're not done yet. Next, you'll see Kira and I, and possibly Ilya in the shot as well, playing a couple games in a different spot. So we hope you guys enjoy what is coming up next. See you in a second. What's up, guys? So as you can see, Kira and I and Ilya behind the camera are out in the prayer path. You want to go ahead and say something?
Hey guys, I'm here.
So you'll be able to hear him, but you're not going to be able to see him. We're out here. We're going to play a game that you guys can do at home, but make sure, 1, you ask your parents. 2, it's safe and it's clean. Don't know how to make it clean, but your parents will.
What he means is outdoors.
Outdoors, yes, like this. We are in the creek. We're not going in the creek because it's kind of cold, and I don't want to. They want to, I don't. So, what we're going to do right now is we're going to play a game. Ilya is going to ask a question. Kira and I will have our eyes closed the whole time. What we have down here, which Kira's going to show you, are buckets. She has pink powdered paint. I have red, and Elia has blue.
Blue.
So what's going to happen, it looks really cool in the water. But what's going to happen is that he's going to ask a question, and he's going to answer with blue paint. So who he thinks is more likely. So like the first question is who's the messiest? Might be the first question. He's going to throw paint at who he thinks is the messiest. Go ahead, Elia. Was that both or was that me? Oh, and and then
Brendan is a gender reveal.
So what we're going to do is then, while with our eyes closed, we're going to throw paint at each other who we think is the right one of that answer. So I don't know how fun this is going to be. It's going to be really fun for us. And then at the end, we're going to talk a little bit more about Great Escape, and we might even dye our hair. So stick around to see. Now mine has blue in it.
It's going to happen.
All right, guys, Brendan and Kira are here ready to answer a few questions. Brendan's already upset. As you know, he does that. Kira has clearly been hit with the blue paint. Brendan is a gender reveal. See, no questions were asked. Don't breathe it in. All right, we are on to our first question, which is, guys, cover the eyes. Don't actually cover, just close them. You just put your own paint in your own face. Who is more likely to be late to a meeting? Who's more likely to win in Mario Kart? Who's better at staying focused? Who's more emotional? Who's more dramatic? Who's easier to distract? Who's more like Elia? Who has better? Oh, my phone! Who has better style? Who's messier? Who's more whiny? Who is more annoying? Who is more likely to be famous? Who is the better driver? And who's more chaotic? Who's wimpier? Who Who is Elia's favorite? Thank you guys so much for playing the color game. Guys, we are so excited for Great Escape Mini Camp. We cannot wait for you guys to show up and get there. It's gonna be a blast. Make sure to invite your friends, pick a favorite color, and be ready to be destroyed by Brendan, Elia, Kira, and all of our work crew friends who are coming out to help. I believe we now have to pass it back to Brendan.
All right, yeah, so like Elia said, guys, this was a lot of fun. Now we got to go and change somehow. I don't know what I look like in my face. It's in my beard, for sure. So, Great Escape, guys. We are going to have a color run with this paint. All right? It's going to be right here through this prayer path. I'm not going to give any more details because I want you to come and experience that. If you have not signed up yet, go ahead and sign up. Trust me, this is super fun. We'll have goggles and stuff. We'll be ready. All right, so hopefully you guys had a good time with this. Hopefully you had some good pancakes or whatever you had for breakfast. All right, and we will see you guys next week for our next series called Origin Story. See you guys.